Welcome to Water Wizards, where we get inspired by the movers and shakers of the world, those catalyzing change just like water. Welcome to the Water Wisdom Podcast. I am Monica Painter. I am a former RN. I left bedside nursing to take a stand for body sovereignty a couple years ago. And now here I am inspiring others to do the same. And that is what we are about here on the Water Wisdom Podcast, is inspiring you to move into mission. And the way that I love to do this is by sharing a story, really bringing a tangible example of how people have stepped into mission. And so grab your water. Every podcast is an activation. May the codes flow into the water, and as we drink it, amplify all of the magic that is coming through for our highest and greatest good. So without further ado, I am here to introduce an absolutely amazing, amazing woman, Dr. Kim Duramo. She is a former emergency room doctor, and she now has founded the Institute for MindBody Medicine. I discovered her maybe a year and a half or so ago on YouTube, good old YouTube, and her YouTube page is linked in the description here. And what I discovered through her work is that healing is simple and that we can all heal, even though we may feel like that one person that is not going to heal. That is the biggest message that resonated with me for Kim, is that it was like ding, 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 ding. When she said, are you that person that thinks that you're the only one that's not going to heal? Like, put your hand up in the comments if you feel that way, because full transparency, I still feel that way sometimes. And I have Kim in my head saying, it's not the truth. And so welcome, Kim.
Wow. Thank you.
So
that is so exciting.
Yes, we are here to activate, right? Like, I just want to light a fire under as many people as I possibly can. And so I'm going to come with the fullness of my expression that I used to dampen because I thought I was too loud. I thought I was too big. I thought I was too much for the world to handle.
We have more in common than you thought.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Kim. Will you tell us, in your own words, your own expression, what is it that you do in your mission, Kim?
So, really, I also am here to assist the awakening for individuals who are here to support true healing and here to be a part of a true medical system, right? Our current healthcare system is really a disease care system, and it's depleting on both sides. Like, the practitioners are like, I'm dying, I want to get out of here, whether they're conscious of it or not.
Yeah.
And the patients are not, like, nobody's really healing in that system because it's a pretty low frequency system. And the modalities in it are not about supporting healing. They're really about preventing disease. And so I became an ER doctor because that was where I thought was the wisest place to serve in that model. If you're, dying, we could try to bring you back. If your arm is off, we can get it back on. And that's a really wise use of resources. But when we use that model to try to make you healthy, like, there really is nothing to offer in that system. And I certainly didn't want to learn that and spend 3 years doing internal medicine to, like, move someone along with their diabetes medication, but you still have diabetes. Mm-hmm. So I thought, all right, ER, I can do this. But my true vision, which started when I was much younger, was to bring the truth that the body can heal itself and the mind and body are connected, and that we are creative, as within, so without. Like, our thoughts, our intention have actual creative impact. They're not inert. They're not like nothing. They're actually electromagnetic frequencies. They're signals. They're impactful, and they impact our body. They impact those around us. They impact stuff, so that, like, things can happen in your life. You're like, wow, how did that work out? And it's because of the inner consciousness, the point you are living from. So I knew at a really young age that that was what I was here to be a part of. It was very super inspiring and very, very clear, but it was also, like, very intimidating. Like, who's going to listen to me? How am I going to do this? But there was always a very clear knowing, like, nope, you're going to take the step you're on today It's all being sorted out for you. And that was very much the story of my life, with every single, like, getting into medical school, getting into residency, like my career path after that. Anytime I didn't have certainty, I would just ask, like, what do I need to do here? And it was like, nope, be anxious for nothing. It's being taken care of for you. And I'd either get a phone call or have an idea and, act upon it. And things just really, really lined up. Like, I got into one medical school. I interviewed at one medical school. I interviewed at one residency. My career was very, there was, look at that. Did you see that?
Yes.
This keeps happening. And it's not just StreamYard. Like, I was on Zoom. I swear to God, you guys, I was on Zoom yesterday and that happened. And I'm like, yeah, this keeps happening. And no one I've talked to knows what it's about. So
it's magic. We'll take it. I love that.
It's magic. So, I think one of the big things I'm here to bring is that, like, when we let go and trust, we're surrendering to this higher aspect of ourselves that does know, that will create it, that will show us the way. And then the path opens up. So especially for those of us who are like in healthcare or light workers or healers or coaches or whatever, that is an essential part of finding your path, is getting attuned with that inner creator so that it can show you.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about, in those moments of anxiety that you talk about, where you're like, oh, you go into that constriction, you kind of feel that sympathetic nervous system kick in, maybe your heart starts to race a little bit. What do you do in those moments to open up to the answer?
So my 3-step little formula, which I've used my whole life, as long as I can remember, no one taught it to me. It's just this innate way of being in the body, is the first space is be in the awareness, be in the moment. Your body only lives in the now. And if you get into the experience of like, oh, my heart is fluttering. Oh, I feel like I'm about to throw up. Oh, I'm having this thought, I'll never make it. You just get into observer. And so it's ABC. That's awareness. I'm aware. Doesn't mean you like it. It doesn't mean it's comfortable. It just means you begin to presence what is actually happening now. So A is the most important part, is like the kind of 90% of the equation. If I'm just gaining and cultivating more presence, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. And so I learned how to be in my body, whether it was like a chronic pain syndrome, I had an autoimmune disease and chronic fatigue. And then, all these moments in my career where I was like, I'm dying. I cannot be in the ER anymore. Please help me. And it was like, nope, surrender. So I would witness, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What am I thinking? And so part of that is embracing it. Like, I'm feeling these flutters. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm having this thought, I just want to die. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. It seems there's no way I'll make it. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. So that's a big power we kind of don't realize we have, because you think it's not doing anything. But
right,
what we've seen in brain studies is when you go into observing, everything shifts in your brain and your physiology. And so that's the big thing, is like, can I get present and embrace what's really happening right now?
Okay. So awareness, breath.
Yep. The second part is to shift my breathing. So if I'm in, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, it's going to hijack your physiology.
Right.
And the best way to bring it back is to get a hold on in a connection with your breath, because that actually is governing everything happening in your brain, your thoughts, your physiology, your heart, your hormones, like every single part of it. So if I just would relax my shoulders and let the breath come into the belly, and sometimes if you just inhale and tighten your shoulders up, and then when you exhale, you might feel a yawn. Like, you will turn on the parasympathetic nervous system when you do the shift in your breath. And so sometimes for me, I just deepen into that tension and then inhale, and then, and it's a real release on the exhale. So shifting your breathing is like a major part to shift the physiology in the brain. And then the third part is C. I'm in my conscious choice, which is, okay, I feel like I'm about to die. What's really happening here? We start shifting our consciousness from oh my God, what do I do? Let me make sure of this. And like getting hijacked by the sympathetic nervous system or the fear thoughts to, okay, what is my conscious choice? What do I actually want to create? And we can't get into C, which is like creative consciousness, until we've mastered A and we've begun to allow the shift with B, the breath.
Right.
Because, you know, you ever try to do affirmations? I'm okay. I'm safe. It's all right. And it doesn't get you anywhere because you haven't gotten your power in the house and you haven't shifted your physiology. So it's like, yeah, nice try. So that's like the least important, but it is very helpful to realize like, okay, if I were consciously creating this moment, what would be my intention?
Oh, that is beautiful. So this is the mind body connection, right? This is the importance of really keeping your body on board. And I remember something, again, I hear you in my head often, breathe and soften. Yeah. So when I first started following you, that was one of the first things that really, really pinged for me was breathe and soften. And something that you say too is like, there are people who believe that this is so simple, it can't possibly work. And so they don't do it. Breathe and soften has changed everything for me. It really does get to be simple. And when you start to feel those tiny incremental shifts, and then you see the world around you transform, your belief is enhanced and the speed with which it changes enhances and increases. And so what I found when I first started this practice of breathe and soften is I would take that nice, deep, low belly breath, knowing, you know, my nurse background, I know that activates the parasympathetic rest and digest. And so at first it felt a little unnatural because I wasn't used to it. But then once my body got used to it, now I deep breathe. That's just what I do. Now it feels unnatural if I breathe only at the chest. So I would take this nice full deep breath in and let it wave up to my chest. And then I would drop my shoulders and I would find that my shoulders were up here and I would consciously be aware of the drop. I'm like, oh, damn, they were way north. That is ridiculous. So now what I find is that my shoulders are already here. They're already down. They're no longer at my ears because of my intentional, consistent practice, right? True health is not through a pill. It's not through a quick fix. It is through intentional, consistent, small daily practices. Yeah. And so this is the journey, right? Like this is the awakening journey is we think we want to quantum leap, but guess what? Quantum leaps every once in a while are great, but you know what? If your body's not ready, that shit hurts.
Yeah.
It physically hurts in your body. What do you have to say about that from a
This is the most important piece. And so this process of ABC, I call the instant elevation. And I have a whole program on that because vesting your time into that A, which is like you're getting your power back, you're getting your energy back. That is the most essential piece for that quantum shift. And what you're saying about that, like small, incremental, consistent practice, that's the 2% shift. If you are shifting the inner 2%, that is a quantum shift. Like you could have the tiniest little 2% shift in the energetic, meaning I go from, oh my God, I'm miserable, I don't know what to do, to, okay, I'm miserable, I don't know what to do, and it's okay. Like, it doesn't really seem like you changed anything. You're like, my bank account is still the same. My body, my labs are still the same, whatever. But you're actually 2% more willing to embrace what's happening and soften and breathe. That's the quantum shift. And that 2% subtle shift creates a massive shift in your material reality, in your physical body, your brain, your chemistry, and you will see it begin to show up in your circumstances.
Okay, so that brings up a great concept. What about that voice in your head that wants to keep score? Right?
That's this is good because when you were talking,
right? So you were talking about the bank account, right? Like you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to accept what's going on, but shit, my bank account still says $5 or like, what do we do with that voice in our head that says it's
I know.
not work? You can't. Okay. It's not working.
This came up as you were speaking before, and I'm so glad you said that, because when you said, okay, the more I just soften and breathe, then the more I see some changes, then the more I kind of believe there is really something to this, and the more I'm willing to surrender, right? You said the more I'm willing to soften more. So this is what happens is like the belief increases our willingness to surrender. And that's great because the more you do this practice, it is going to change your belief. It's going to change your brain pathways, going to change the way you think, what you perceive, what you think is true. And you can actually shortcut this because let's say, I don't know, 20 years ago, I was in medical school and my roommate introduced me to Tony Robbins. And at the time, I was running my first marathon because that for me was like a stress, it was like a modulation. I'd get out and run and it would zen me out. I didn't know about meditation. I hadn't started practicing yoga. This was a long time ago, but I did know that I could come to a really peaceful space with long distance running. So here I am training, and on my training program, I kept breaking down. Like my knee was hurting, my hip was hurting. I'm like, oh my God, I got to take a week off. So I couldn't get past this 15 miler. And then I realized through Tony telling me this, it was really about my beliefs. I was scared and had these ideas like, well, I'm not a runner. I'm not built as a runner. I'll get sick. I'm a medical student. I shouldn't be doing this. It's too much. So he had us do this exercise that you write down the beliefs, old beliefs, and then you write the new beliefs. So, I made a line down the paper, old belief, I can't do this because I'm a medical student. I'll get sick. I'll get hurt. I shouldn't do this. It's too much. And I realized all the shit that was in there. Yeah. This was like the first time I ever did an exercise like that. All the old beliefs. Then you go to the other half, new belief. I can succeed at this marathon and be an excellent medical student. I can let this be healthy for my body instead of detrimental. I can find inner strength I didn't know I had, blah, 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 blah. So that feels good. It's a new frequency. And then you rip it down the middle, you burn the old thing, and you can like post the new beliefs, in your bathroom. You're looking at them every day. And I could feel an energetic shift. I could feel a strengthening over and over and over, committing. Yes, I am powerful, healthy, and strong. And it happened after like 3 rounds of having to break down when I tried the 15 miler. Now, after doing this, the next time I tried to advance my distance, I succeeded. I didn't break down anymore. My hip was resolved. My knee was resolved. And I successfully completed the marathon. The thing we want to remember, though, is and that's a great path for a lot of people, but you're going to get to a point where I need to change my belief first. So then I will surrender and allow the process actually becomes the slow path where you're like, I'm working with my beliefs. Oh, I got this faulty belief. How do I change my belief? So then I will surrender. Well, you can just bypass that and go to surrender. And the way I've learned to do this, I remember my knowing that, hey, I'm a creator. I know. And so even if I think I'm not, and I'm emotionally feeling, see, there we are. Yes, exactly. So it's thoughts, emotions, circumstances. I think, yeah, right. I don't believe this. Because you're going to have that moment. You're going to have that day where you're like, this is all bullshit. What am I even doing in my career? Emotionally, you feel like crap. And you're like, nothing matters. And I'm just depressed. And so you're going to be in that state. And then circumstances are going to reflect, yeah, you're a failure. Look at what a failure. Look how miserable. You're never going to get anywhere. So you're going to see it showing up in the matrix, right? So what do I do at that moment? So now I realized, wait a minute, if it's conditioned on, I have to believe, I have to feel that it's true, and I have to have like life showing me that reflection, I'm kind of screwed because there are going to be those moments where I'm like, I think I don't even believe anything right now. What is my choice? So if I go back to that anchor, I already know that I know that I know, and it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter how I feel, and it doesn't matter what life is showing me that appears to be the truth. I will choose surrender. Full breath, soft body. I know I'm powerful. So it doesn't matter what I think and believe. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling emotionally. And it doesn't matter what's showing up in my reality. Then I can access a strength and a power that is always there. It's just now I'm choosing unconditionally to be in it. And that's when I really have accelerated, like quantum leap, accelerated like unthinkable things in my life.
That is so empowering. So it's like emotion will come and go, right? It's always ebbing, always flowing. But what never leaves is your power as a creator.
Yes.
Right. And we get
100%.
to like latch onto that. And so something that I want to mention to everyone, to those who are hearing this and not seeing it, what keeps happening on Kim's screen is she's having these like magical graphics pop up. She did a thumbs up and this like cartoon thumb popped up. And then at one point balloons floated past. And so this really brings up a important concept that I want to touch on that is totally in alignment with what we're talking about. And one of the ways that I have found in my life to shift quite rapidly is to make a list of what's going right, because we are conditioned to stay safe. And so we're like fear casting all the time because we're raised to fear cast, but you can change those neural pathways in your brain through these practices we're talking about. And so to actively look for, and not only look for, but laugh about and celebrate the magic that is happening. And so these balloons floating by Kim's screen, like that just cracked me up. That is amazing. That is magical. I will take that as an affirmation that we are on the right track. And then all of the, your experiences with nature that come through for you, like looking at those and witnessing those and celebrating those and telling those stories, because that way you're opening up your awareness to the possibility instead of shutting it down, because you get what you look for. It's what our brain does for us so that our brain doesn't explode from all of the information coming in. Yeah. And so if you are willing to soften and surrender, it's that simple to actually open up your awareness to that which will support that feeling of softening and surrendering.
Yeah.
I love it. And so let's have some more balloons. That is so freaking hilarious.
Bring them on.
Oh, that is magic. Okay.
I know. Well, this is an important thing, like with, this is all well and good. We're magical. We're creative. But it's really helpful to see like what has gotten created as a result of this. So, here I was in the ER, miserable, like really hoping I could just die because I didn't want to like leave and go live in a tent somewhere. I couldn't find my way out.
Yeah.
And, but I would feel like this urgency of like, please show me the way. I know I went into medicine for a really good reason. And I had this inspiration and like, you're not just going to leave me here now, because I wasn't really feeling the magic.
Yeah.
And it was a very clear, like, nope, let go. It's coming for you. Because my thoughts were like, I'll go knock on doors. I'll rent office space. I'll do whatever I have to do. No. Be anxious for nothing. That is not your path. It's coming for you. And it was so clear. It was like just a feeling. And so okay, we're good. And I was good for maybe another week. And it would cycle back again and again. And it was maybe like a few months. And I got this call from my colleague I had done this osteopathic fellowship year training with through my medical school. She went on to do like osteopathic medical practice, which is like more health and wellness and helping the body heal. And I went on to do this ER thing. And now I'm like, what the F did I do? Why didn't I do what she did? My life would be so better. And so, but I chatted with her on the phone and she told me about this colleague of ours who had moved to Tennessee, which from Atlanta, you could get to Tennessee in kind of a short time. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, maybe I could, she said he went there to start a medical school. So I was like, ding, 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 ding. I could be a part of that. I could help. I had done a ton of teaching. I knew they would want me there. And then I looked into it and was like, oh, this is like 4.5 hours away. So I didn't know how to reach him. He called me like 2 days later. I got a call from him. What do we have to do to get you here? And so I knew part of me was like, this is my thing. 100%. And part of me was like, oh crap, I got to sell my house. I'm going to leave my job. Like it's an academic position where, so like, you're not really, I was making a ton of money in the ER. So I was like, well, maybe I do want to like wait on this a minute, which is so funny, right? You were like begging for it to come in. And then you're like, can I have another 6 months? So I knew this was my thing. Basically sold everything, moved to the middle of nowhere in Harrogate, Tennessee. I was the only single faculty member, the only female clinician. I was definitely not going to meet a compatible guy in Harrogate, Tennessee. So it was like this amazing step in my career. I got to work with this awesome man I admired and some awesome faculty that we were like family. The students were incredible. I absolutely was like 20 out of 10 in my career. And then after a couple of years, it was like, I do want to like have a family and like kids and like, I want to do this. What am I doing? So that whole thing came together. And then the next thing was the same thing. It was like, I know, when your heart has that ask for more, it's always because it's your timing and it's available. People think, oh, let me just suppress that because I know I can't have everything. And it kind of hurts to want something that you believe you can't have. So you feel jealousy, you maybe feel anger, and you're like, oh, why does she think she can do that? Like if you see someone else doing that thing, you're like, it hurts, you're jealous. But that's only because you don't realize that's for you. Yes, I'll have that too, please. So I stayed open and made a major move. I was almost 40 when I met my now husband. We have 2 kids. So there were a lot of major needle in a haystack manifestations that absolutely came together when I let the guidance in. So marriage to like a truly freaking unbelievable, mind-blowing person. Like it, for me, there was needle in a haystack. I couldn't have imagined there was really that divine partner for me. I'm like, I'm kind of a lot. And he's like incredible. And then we have these kids and finding our home. We are living in Durango, Colorado. That was like another. So all of these things were like needle in a haystack manifestations, how my business came together. That's what we're all in store for. So when you felt that pain of like staying in your RN position, but then like maybe there was doubt, like, what the heck am I going to do?
Yep.
You trusted. There had to have been some level 2% of soften and breathe for you to have found it. And,
Yes.
it's the same for all of us.
Absolutely. Wow. So that was your journey into your true soul mission.
Yeah.
These, I love that, it's the needle in the haystack moments, and they just naturally come when you open up to them. And it's through consistent intentional practice, these small steps that we take. I want, something comes up when you're telling that story about the jealousy and the anger. And so these are big emotions, and we are all human. We get to have the fullness of our experience. And so my question around that is, when we do have those feelings, because there's this kind of movement to kind of, squash those feelings. Those are bad feelings. Don't have those feelings. I'm a light worker. I can't have those feelings. What do we do to honor that part of us that is experiencing, based on past circumstances, those feelings? Do you have advice around moving through that?
Yeah, there's 2 things. You have to do both. The jealousy is an indication that your heart's desire is showing up in your life. Like you wouldn't see this other person doing it if it wasn't available in your reality.
Right.
So you just have to remember, oh, this is an indicator for me. But you
Mhm.
also have to embrace the part of you that's holding the block, right? You wouldn't feel the jealousy if there wasn't a block. You'd go, oh my God, Monica. Yeah, I want that too. I'm so psyched to meet you that you're doing that because now I know it's also in store for me. No, there's a part of you that's like, ew, how could she do that? Why can't I do that? And would be grungy. And so you have to honor that part who believes she can't have it, or who even knows what that part of you is holding. It's usually very unconscious. But if you just embrace the sensation, like what does jealousy feel like? What does anger feel like? Oh, there's like a in my solar plexus. Oh, and it's so uncomfortable, but you have to do that second part. So you breathe into that part, you soften that part, you say, oh, show me what you're feeling. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you let yourself have the experience. If you resist the experience, what you resist persists. You lock that block in your body. If you embrace that experience, yes, I'm fully human and it's okay. I had what this part of me has this belief or whatever. And I love this part and I'm willing to feel this, the energy will move. Sometimes it's 12 seconds for an emotion to move through. Sometimes it's maybe like, I don't know, an hour. It's not going to be like days and months of, but when you hold the jealousy, it could be decades. So you've got to realize, oh, wait, this is an indicator that I'm feeling something is an indicator I'm expanding. And B, embrace what I'm feeling. I've got to move through the experience, not avoid it.
I love that. The energy wants to move differently,
Yeah.
right? The energy just wants to move differently. So we have to witness it. I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Okay, so I'm going to jump a little bit here. I would like to know about your awakening experience, which I believe happened as a child.
Yeah.
Will you share that with us?
Yes. So, and I'm still on this journey of creative evolution, and it like blows my mind every day and hurts like sometimes too.
Yeah.
But when this all started, so I was very intuitive and empathic. Like I didn't really have those words for it when I was young. And then as I got older, there were like more gifts of feeling people's emotions, hearing people's thoughts, and being able to know things that were going to happen before they happened. And it wasn't like, oh, so and so is going to die. It wasn't like any major scary things, but it was scary to function that way. That you're like, the veil was lifted. You know, you're witnessing creation before it's happening, because creation does come from within us. And if you're really sensitive, you can feel the moment very deeply and know where things are going. It's not really that strange, but it's very strange, you know, when you grow up in Boston and it's like a Roman Catholic family and the doctor's always right. And it's all about this allopathic perspective. Like, whoa, what is wrong with me? And where do I go with this? And so there was like a lot of anxiety, and of course, a lot of suppression of emotions. I tried to talk to this one person in my life about what was happening, and like it freaked that person out beyond belief, like screaming and just didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay.
How old were you when you tried?
I was in high school.
Mm.
Yeah. And I did have friends who knew like there's something going on. Like they were really, you know, it's hard to cover it up. Like I'd have a panic attack and I didn't know how to express it. It was like I saw God. But it wasn't like some man appeared in front of me. It was like I witnessed active creation without the veil of the buffer of separation and time, right? Like it was instantaneous of I could feel people's thoughts and then what the conversation would get created or what someone would do. It was just very, very disturbing. Like the whole foundation of reality gets pulled from under you and you're like, what? It's kind of like when people have an ayahuasca experience. So you take this medicine, this plant medicine that shifts the way your brain functions. And they actually, a lot of people let in great amounts of truth and clarity. I've not had that be my path. I do not advocate that this is, hey, go and do this. It is very, very serious stuff. But I have encountered many people have really profound healing when they release that that veil of separation. And so, but I didn't have a shaman guiding me. Like I felt very alone. So that at that point, I realized I gotta suck it up. Like my family sent me to psychiatrists. Like they didn't know what to do with me. It was very, very difficult for them. And it was really scary for me. So I realized I gotta get off these medications. Like this is not helping me at all. And I've got to kind of fly under the radar until I come to a place where I find some real resources. So I like did everything to suppress it. And it would be interesting because there'd be, I don't know how many months would go by, but it was like, oh, my life's not magical enough. I need a I need to access some of this. I need to find that power. So I would like choose consciously, all right, I'm ready to open some of this back up again. And it would be a really scary experience, but I would also try it on. Like I'd lie in bed at night and I'd have thoughts, when you're in that deep, almost sleep state, I would think about like my dad. I had a kind of abusive relationship with my dad. And I would think about him, and all of a sudden my body would tense up and jump. Like, when you jump in your sleep and it wakes you up. And I'm like, well, that was weird. Nah, that couldn't be because of what I was thinking. And I would try it again. And the same thing would happen again. And I'm like, what I'm thinking is affecting my physical body and making it do these things. And then I would think about like something peaceful, and I'd feel like, tingles and feel at ease. And then I'd go back again and like, oh, let me think about my dad. And my body would go into that like tension shock state. So I started playing with this kind of stuff. So that was, high school. It wasn't until through college, there were panic attacks, and it was very tricky. I took a psychology class and I realized, oh my God, what they're describing as panic attacks is what this would sound like if I described it to a doctor. This is what they would write. This isn't what's actually happening. It's so much more profound, but this is what it would sound like in a textbook. And I was like, oh my God, I have this thing. And that's when I started like trying to find ways to get help, and slowly but surely found spiritual books and like a more spiritual mind body understanding. And then I devoured everything I could on mind body medicine, consciousness and spirituality. Like I just couldn't get enough. And I was still alone. I was still in my family in Boston. I was the only one I could talk to about this, but I knew like, wait, this book says it's a bestseller. There's someone else in this plane of reality, and maybe someday I'll meet one of them.
That is
and we
amazing.
could have an amazing conversation.
Yes.
So that gave me a hope of like, keep flying under the radar. You will find your people. So I knew what I was here to share, specifically in medicine, specifically from the template and forum of a conventional medical doctor. I just knew this, it was shown to me. And then like doors open. I just really threw myself into my academics. I got into a good college. I got into medical school. Like anytime there was doubt, it was like, well, let's see how this is going to work out, because I already know where I'm going. So, I remember at Emory, they interviewed me, and I was an osteopathic doctor, which is a DO. So we learn in medical school some things about how the body and mind are connected. And this chief resident at Emory, which is a little bit of like an old school kind of institution. He's like, well, we've never had a DO before in this residency. That was the internal medicine residency. I was like, well, okay. And he was trying to be intimidating, but it didn't have any effect on me, because I knew like, well, if this is the program I'm meant to go in, that just won't be a factor. That just won't apply to me. And turns out that wasn't where I was going to go. I went into the Emory ER program, and they were like, we've never had a DO before, but we're super excited to have one, and tell us about what you do. And I was on this one rotation in the ER, and this guy came in with knee pain, and I fixed his knee pain. And this other guy came in with severe back pain, and the doctor I was working with was going to give him narcotics. He was a cop. She said, I don't think that's what he wants. Do you want to show me what you might be able to do? And I fixed his sacrum, and he was 100% pain-free. And she's like, I want to have this person in our program. So she wrote me this recommendation letter. Like it was the only place I wanted to go. It was the only place I applied. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I got in. But it was like, be in your knowing, and the path will appear. So I guess, that was my sort of awakening. It was incredibly tumultuous, incredibly lonely. I would not wish it on my worst enemy. I think there's ways people can go through this now in a more nurtured, supported way. Mm-hmm. But I actually would say discomfort is probably going to be part of the equation.
Yeah.
Like Mario, my husband, just went to a Vipassana retreat for 10 days silence. And he's like, there were some parts that were excruciating. Now, it's excruciating to the ego. It's not excruciating to the true self. Like your life, when you said the simplicity, it's fluid. You can actually be in that higher self, and you're always going to find fluidity when you do. But like, you're not probably going to do that perfectly. You're probably going to bounce in and out of the separate self, the ego self, and be like, oh, what did I do? I left my job. What the hell was I thinking? And yeah, I've made space that it's okay. I bounce back and forth and that I'm human. And that's actually made my life more graceful.
Oh, wow. That is such an amazing story. And this is what I love about what you do is that you really help people to bridge the gap between the metaphysical and like the physical body. You know, it's like when I think of you, I think of this like when I'm standing outside and I get the chills. And then I try to rationalize, oh, it was a gust of wind. Okay, well, yeah, but understand that everything is energy first, right? And so all of the cooperative components that had to come together to create that physical reaction in my body, that was all energy first. And it was all what I created. And so if, for instance, you have created an autoimmune disease in your body, or you have created a cancer in your body because of all the cooperative components that you have called into your reality based on your frequency for an extended period of time, if you can create that, wow, you are a powerful person, a powerful being. You can create health. You can tap back into that innate ability that your body has to heal. And so listening to the ways in which you are supporting people to shift into a healthier state of being through experiences that people are saying in certain arenas are you can't heal them. It's not possible. Well,
Yes.
that's bullshit.
Yes, it is.
That's total bullshit. Anything, your body can shift anything.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be this big magical ayahuasca ceremony, for example, right?
Yes, it could be a lot more subtle, gradual, gentle, graceful. Like you said in the beginning, sometimes we want it all right now, and that isn't necessarily like compassionate for the system. I had a autoimmune disease, a pretty severe autoimmune disease, and that was in medical school. We're studying pathology all day long. My body started manifesting, like I had palpitations, I developed a heart murmur, then they found something wrong with the valve. Everything in my body was physically manifesting like what I was focusing on. And so that went on for like a year and a half. I had studied like years of mind body medicine and understood the body heals itself, but everything I was doing to like try to heal myself was actually making it worse. Cause I was like, what am I doing? I gotta do, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like the trying is a stress state. I didn't know how to surrender. That wasn't in the book, the books I read. So it was like, okay, my body can heal itself. My mind and body are connected, but what do I do with that? How do I activate that? And what happened over the course of like a year and a half of tests and studies and diagnoses and blah, 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 blah. It wasn't until I got this huge, big, bad diagnosis and, here's the prognosis and here's what you've got to do and the medications. That's when a surrender happened because I realized, you know what? I don't need to buy into his perspective on what's happening. My lab results, your body's inflamed, everything, you're allergic to everything. And I was like, oh, and that's really when it hit me between the eyes. I was like, oh, what if that's this disease? And what if that perspective isn't true for me? And I knew it wasn't. And that's really when the full surrender happened. I stopped trying to manage this. I stopped trying to control this. I stopped fearing this and I let go. And I said, all right, body, what do you need to show me? What am I ready to see? What is this really about? But there was such a level of receptivity that it was like instantaneous. And the message was, you don't need to fight your life.
You don't need to fight your life, and you don't need to buy into anyone else's perspective of the way that things are. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for all of that magic. Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you be open to sharing maybe a 5-minute EFT tapping around surrender?
Yoo-hoo! Yes.
Okay. So EFT tapping, if you all are familiar with me, you may be familiar with it because I rave about it. This is a practice that taps into your meridian system. I'm not going to go into depth about it. You find my reels about it, but it is a simple yet extremely powerful practice that is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm a doer. I'm a doer. I want to do. And I do meditate. I meditate a lot. I'm a very avid meditator, but at the moments in my life where I'm like doing and I'm like, okay, something's got to go, the tapping is what really allows me to kind of drop into my body. And so Kim's magical when it comes to EFT. Like, I love her EFT. She's very intuitive about it. So let's do a
yes,
so much for
100%.
So
okay, this will be really powerful. So when that surrender happened, this is why we're going to tap on surrender. When I surrendered, it was days. That entire autoimmune disease completely, fully resolved. All the pain, all the labs, all the inflammation, all the fatigue. It was days. Now, yeah, it took me years to get to that day of surrender, but this is how powerful. When you surrender, everything can change very quickly. So EFT, we're going to start tapping on the meridian points. And the sequence I'm going to do is a little bit of a setup. You can just tap on them. You know, the inner eye point is right on the bony ridge here. You tap on the outer eye, right on the outside of your eyebrow. You tap underneath the eye, right on the bone, underneath the nose, right in the middle, on the chin, also right in the middle, under the collarbones and that little soft spot. This is right and left, but you could just do one side. So if you're driving along in your car under the arm, you could just tap on one of these points and you're like, oh my God, I'm late. Oh, this sucks. I can't believe it. And you just think what you're thinking, but you breathe in and out and you tap. It's opening and clearing this energy channel. Our body is energy. The energy moves through the circuits called meridians. So in a nutshell, this is what we're doing. So here we're going to set up a little bit of a more formal practice. So we do 3 setup phrases. So you can repeat after me, Monica, and we'll just do this centering around surrender, letting go, and healing. So even though I don't know how to surrender,
even though I don't know how to surrender,
I'm willing to love myself fully.
I'm willing to love myself fully.
Even though I don't know how to let go,
even though I don't know how to let go,
I wonder what might be possible.
I wonder what might be possible.
Even though this doesn't really make sense.
Even though this doesn't really make sense.
Part of me is open to what's possible.
Part of me is open to what is possible.
Good. Now just breathe. Inner eye. I don't know how to let go.
I don't know how to let go.
Outer eye. I don't know how to surrender.
I don't know how to surrender.
Under the eye. I can't let go.
I can't let go.
Under the nose. What's happening is too big.
What's happening is too big.
On the chin. I'll be out of control.
I'll be out of control.
Under the collarbone. The idea I have to control this.
The idea I have to control this.
Under the arm. It's up to me to make it happen.
It's up to me to make it happen.
Top of the head. So if I let go, it'll be a mess.
So if I let go, it'll be a mess.
Inner eye. What is letting go?
What is letting go?
Outer eye. This doesn't make any sense.
This doesn't make any sense.
Under the eye. But I know what I'm doing isn't working.
But I know what I'm doing is not working.
Under the nose. To create true freedom and prosperity.
To create true freedom and prosperity.
On the chin. Is it really possible to have true freedom and prosperity?
Is it really possible to have true freedom and prosperity?
Under the collarbone. Maybe people say it is.
Many people say it is.
But I think they're full of it.
But I think they're full of it.
Under the arm. All this doubt.
All this doubt.
Top of the head. Functioning on what I already know.
Functioning on what I already know.
And what I already think.
And what I already think.
Inner eye. Would I be open to something beyond that?
Would I be open to something beyond that?
Outer eye. It might be scary.
It might be scary.
To let in something I don't already understand.
To let in something that I don't already understand.
Under the eye. I'm scared.
I'm scared.
Under the nose. It's really scary to think about letting go.
It's really scary to think about letting go.
On the chin. Things could get worse.
things could get worse.
Under the collarbone, I could lose.
I could lose.
Under the arm. Part of me does not want to let that happen.
Oh, part of me does not want to let that happen.
Top of the head. And part of me is ready for big change.
And part of me is ready for big change.
Okay, everyone just keep breathing in and breathing out because there's a lot moving and we're just going to keep flowing with it. Inner eye. I wonder what might be possible.
I wonder what might be possible.
Outer eye. If I did let go just a little.
If I did let go just a little.
Under the nose. Maybe just soften.
Maybe just soften.
Under the nose. Maybe just breathe a little more fully.
Maybe just breathe a little more fully.
On the chin. Maybe just let myself feel a little lighter.
Maybe just let myself feel a little lighter.
Under the collarbone. And who knows what might happen.
And who knows what might happen.
It might feel good.
It might feel good.
It might be amazing.
It might be amazing.
Part of me is open to that.
And part of me is open to that.
Under the arm. And it's okay.
And it's okay.
If part of me is not.
If part of me is not.
Top of the head. I can learn to embrace.
I can learn to embrace.
All of what I am.
All of what I am.
As I allow amazing expansion.
As I allow amazing expansion.
Okay, so take a deep breath and breathe in. I like to put my arms up because it opens up the lungs. And exhale. You might yawn. That's actually a really good thing. There's energy moving. Your parasympathetic nervous system comes online. You might have tears, water moving out. That's actually awesome as well. It's like your nervous system shifting.
I feel it. I feel the tingle. I feel the shift. I'm a little dizzy actually.
So water, like you said in the beginning, and there's 3 things that will happen when you tap. You either feel lighter, like, whoa, I never saw it this way before, or, oh, my pain is gone. This is not infrequent or uncommon. I've had people with their energy comes back, their pain is gone, like in just 4 minutes. You feel worse. Whoa, I had the lid on all this shit and now we took it off and I'm actually feeling more stuff. Is this bad? It's actually not. You can do a little more tapping. You drink water, you'll breathe. I promise you it will move. And the third thing is, I don't feel anything. And there's 2 reasons that will happen. One is there's still some closure in the system. Like, I don't want to let anything in new. Where we learn to control things and maybe pride ourselves on like, I got this covered versus like, I had no idea to let in something new. But the other reason that we don't feel it right away is it takes a bit of shift for the brain to begin to register more subtle information. And if we've been walking around in our lives, suppressing our emotions, that part of our brain, we got to let it wake up a little bit first. I promise you, it will start to register the subtle of like, whoa, I do feel a little lighter. And don't block that out because that's the 2% shift and it will show up in your circumstances and your body and your life.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I appreciate you. Okay, before we go, I would like to show you something. So something that I like to do for my guests to just fully honor their offering to the world is I binge your content for a little while. And I picked a particular meditation from YouTube and I put it on and I am like so fully present with what you have to offer the world. And I take a little petri dish of water because I am a water wizard. I just am so deeply connected to water and it is a huge part of my mission in this world. And so I take that water and I hold it close to my heart and I set the intention that the frequency of your offering would move into the water and come through as a beautiful crystal expression. And so I did that this morning and I took the petri dish and I stuck it in the freezer and I took a picture of it and I'm like so tickled at what has come through. So,
oh my God, this is so cool. Cause when you started talking, I thought about Veda Austin's work. Do you know her?
Yes, I do. I love her.
And she takes the photos of the water. And so that is so cool.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So I'm going to screen share. And what the
Okay.
first picture I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you just regular water. So we have kind of a baseline. I just took some regular water, didn't do anything with it, literally took it out of the faucet and put it in the freezer. And then I'm going to show you what came through, which is freaking so cool and synchronistic. You're going to love it. Okay. So no more buildup here. If you're listening, you'll have to go to YouTube, Monica Painter, and look for this episode. Okay, so let's see here. Screen share. Okay, so I'm going to first share. This is, okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, do you see?
Kind of random.
Just kind of regular. It's a little bit structured, but it's a blank slate, right? It's pretty much looks like a blank slate.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to go here. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So you're seeing a different picture now because I'm not seeing you. I'm just seeing the picture.
Wait, no, go to the first one again.
Okay.
Looks the same.
Okay. So hold on. Then okay. It's not changing. Hold on just a second. Let me remove this. And let me go to stop share. I'm going to go back to share. And I've just got to select the other tab. Okay. Oh yeah. This is are you ready? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Look at that. Girl, what does that look like to you?
A neuron.
Yes. Like that is a freaking neuron.
Going out in 360 degrees to everything.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. That is a freaking neuron. Look, you can see the dendrites. You can see the center and everything. How freaking cool is that?
Wow.
That is you. That you came
communication.
Through the neuron.
Oh my gosh. Well, my big core of like core value in my work, in my business is connection. I don't think you could have showed me a more meaningful picture.
Isn't that beautiful? I will send you that picture.
Wow.
So beautiful. When I pulled that, I was like, wow. Okay. And so some of the other people that have come on, I have seen kind of like a heart structure, the tree of life. The lady that came on last week, she's an artist, and one of her pictures that she drew came through.
This is so crazy because that's consciousness. Like that is central consciousness. And what we're doing with this work is shifting the consciousness of our collective. We've been in the collective consciousness of fear and separation, and we are shifting into a consciousness of love, oneness, connection. And my piece is bringing that in health, medicine, to understand what the real medicine is. You are the medicine, and you can be the medicine. And that really says it all, that's that inner, it's a message.
Oh yeah. And the power of, we look at social media and we look at how the matrix, those who don't have our purest intentions at heart, the highest intentions at heart, how they have tried to take these things, this technology, and manipulated it in whatever way. And look at what we're doing. If you had any doubt about the power of your frequency coming through the online space, moving through the quantum in that way, literally through a meditation and intention, your soul signature came through in some way through that offering as a freaking neuron.
Oh, that is so cool. Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. I've seen so much. I interviewed her last year and seen all the work where they would intend for love, or the image of a sailboat, or her daughter was thinking of a unicorn, and then they would freeze the water. They would infuse that image. And, and Dr. Masaru Emoto has extensive research. For anybody who's seems a little weird, what are you guys talking about? Water, it has consciousness, it has memory, and it can reorganize itself around that intention. And of course, we are almost fully water, and so we are the same.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Kim. Okay, now before we go, we've got just a couple of minutes. Will you tell us what do you have going right now that we can tap into as far as your offerings?
Excuse me. What we have right now, the biggest things we're doing, we have online courses for mind body healing. So I wrote the mind body toolkit. I have this right next to my desk now because I'm always referring to it, because this was my way of like, what do I do with it? Yeah, your mind and body are connected. Your body can heal itself. How do we ignite that? So it's 10 go-to tools you can do anytime, anywhere to ignite this power in your body, to call your energy back, to actually ignite that creative capacity. So that's at drkimd.com/book. We're bringing the second book called Be the Medicine, your 3-step process for instant healing, is coming out next year. But I'm working on the third book right now, which is more specific for those, like the mass exodus from the medical system, those individuals who are here to be light workers, to be coaches, to be bringing health and facilitating healing. But the system they're looking at is like, that's a nightmare, or they're in it and they're like, I got to get out of here. How do we use creative manifestation to find our way, to find our path, and to go and actually facilitate true healing? And that is what I have come to be a part of in the world. I'm super excited to be working on this book. And so what we're doing in my work is, I've worked with people in a program called Be the Medicine, which is for individuals, not just practitioners, but individuals who are ready to step into a creative, conscious life. Like, who do I really want to be? What do I really want to live? What am I really here to contribute? So if you're ready to contribute in a bigger way, it's available for you. You're not just feeling that calling from like a vacuum. You're feeling it because that's what the world most needs from you. And so in this work, I work with people over a 4-month period to get them in that connection and actually begin creating who you're here to be in your contribution to humanity. So this is one of the things I'm most excited about in my work. And my site is drkimd.com. And that particular program, we will be running it again in a couple of months. It's drkimd.com/BTM, Be the Medicine. So if people want information on that, they can go to the page to learn. And I'm also live every Wednesday for MindBody TV on my YouTube channel, Dr. Kim Duramo, or in the MindBody community in Facebook. If you're in Facebook, you can join for free the MindBody community.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. You can access Kim's offerings in the description and reach out with questions. You're welcome to post questions here if you have any questions, and we will answer them for you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to learn more about how I support all of my mission work, Kangen Water, please check the description.